Hey, I want to talk about fingers. Whenever I think about it, whenever I describe it to students that I have, the idea is sending that energy all the way through the fingertips. Everything you can do in your pose to communicate the overall energy of your character, the better. And I think that has to go all the way down to the fingertips. And all that energy comes from the muscles that obviously go through and attach to all the joints in the hand. And not only are there the muscles that flex us in, you have to think about the muscles that flex us out as well. And the lines of action and those gestures that you can send and that flow and energy that you can send all the way down to those little fingertips. So I was working on this, I was playing around with the new little rig that came out for iAnimate. The hand poses right now are kind of general, kind of pushing these two out, spreading these two out and splaying them a little bit. I've got a little bit of flex in the thumb, but I really don't think it's enough. There's really not a lot of energy. I'm not feeling these muscles down here flex. And you know, if this was a dynamic move, if we're catching her in the middle of this pose, if this was the extreme of her pose, which typically, you know, it should be, there's going to be a lot of flex. It's going to be it's going to be flexing backwards against that palm. All these muscles down here are going to be pulling. And, you know, you want me as the audience to feel what's happening inside those muscles. You know, this rig happens to actually have a control called flex. Let's say her left hand, and I pull that back. See how even right here, there's that little bit more flex. But I want to take this a step further. If that's how the muscles are going to flex, they're going to pull back all along here, how can I involve even the front muscles and create that conflict between the two, that total fear, and really start to scrunch them up and get them really kind of pulling against each other. So there's flexing coming down the front and flexing coming down the back. That takes it even a step further than that. And I create possibly an even more interesting pose and a more extreme moment of fear and anxiety. And what I want to do is look at my finger. You know, I've got a more point on the index finger, and I've got some curve on the two middle fingers, and then the pinky tends to like stick straight out. So I can really just go through and put in these, whoops, I want to leave that. I'm going to put in that, you know, I want to put in some, I want to flex these back. Flex that back. And actually flex this even farther back. Let's see if I can turn this a little more towards cameras. There we go. So I feel better about that. There's a lot more of a dynamic flex feeling to that. She's like, I could keep pushing the face, and I will as I keep working on this shot. But that's the kind of what I'm talking about, is taking that to that next level. Let's look at this next pose. Pretty, you know, generic fist going on here. I'm not feeling the grip. I can see space between the fingers. I'm not feeling them pressed together. I'm not feeling the flex down. Everything on the back of the arm feels really relaxed. And maybe I could get more excitement out of this moment of joy if I felt something going on in the back muscles instead of just the things that are curling the fist. So what I've done is I've really closed in some of the space to make these grips look even harder. I've closed up the space between the fingers to make them look pressed together. I've really created some flex on the back of the hand. So instead of the curl of the fingers being all coming forward, I've started to pull them back a little bit. And even bringing the meat of the hands together a little bit, I think, is going to serve this well. So there, yeah, feel a lot better about that. The difference between that and the other pose just has a lot more dynamic quality to it. I'm going to keep refining it, but that's the idea that I wanted to show, was that you should kind of consider all the sets of muscles that are going all the way down the arm, all the way to the fingertips, and spend time feeling that in your own fingers as you hit that pose, and see how far you can push all of those opposing muscle flexes to create the most interesting hand poses visually, and the most dynamic finger poses to just help sell that last little bit of any sort of close-up or full body pose that you're trying to create. So I'm going to keep working on this little test, and I've got a couple other ideas I want to talk about as this goes along. So Bye.